Okay, so we're at noon on the dot, just to be respectful of everyone's time. I'm just going to go ahead and get going. Um, this webinar is being recorded and we will post it on the website, probably Facebook, YouTube. It'll be available afterwards. Um, After the presentation, there is going to be a Q&A portion. So if you have any questions, stick around at the end and those will also be recorded and be part of the post. With that being said, we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome. This is a webinar for the 2025 grant cycle for Three Rivers Community Foundation. We are a staff of 2 and we have a board of 16. Our mission is to create opportunities for perpetual giving to support nonprofits in Benton and Franklin counties now and into the future. Last year's grant cycle, we awarded over $333,000 to 69 nonprofits, and that was, I think 14 sectors. So it was very broad giving. And I think that was the largest. We had 89 applications that year, and that was the largest amount we have ever received. So that was exciting. So this year's hope is bigger. Some important dates for this year's grant cycle. The grant cycle will be open on August 1st and it will run through September 15th. The board here at Three Rivers Community Foundation will be holding grant interviews, the 20th through the 24th of October. And November 3rd will be the announcement of the awards. If you receive an award, you'll get 2 complimentary tickets to the Celebration of Philanthropy on December 10th. That is open to everybody, and tickets are on sale now for that. So the eligibility requirements for our grant cycle, it is open to any 501c3 nonprofit serving Benton and Franklin counties and churches that are engaged in non-denominational community outreach. And this just ensures that funds directly support organizations embedded in our local area and are focused on inclusive services. Funding restrictions. There are some things we do not fund. We do not fund capital campaigns or building projects, so large-scale fundraising efforts aimed at constructing or renovating buildings. Fundraising events or drives. We do not fund events that are designed to raise money and not directly deliver services. Schools, PTOs, or sports teams, public or private school-related groups and activities are not eligible. And we do not sponsor individual events. So the grants must be benefiting an organization's mission and not personal endeavors or promotions. We do not fund re-granting of funds to other entities. So organizations cannot receive a grant and then pass the funds to another group. Political or lobbying efforts, activities like campaigning for candidates, ballot initiatives, or legislative lobbying are excluded from the grant cycle. And projects involving any form of discrimination. So any initiative that discriminates based on race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, disability, or other protected status, those are not eligible in the grant cycle either. 3 RCF grants are community driven. Grants target the most pressing needs in the community through the competitive grant application process, and emphasis is placed on responsible funding that creates meaningful local impact. We have a thoughtful review process. Our board of directors personally reviews each application and conducts interviews to ensure thoughtful decision making. This hands-on process adds integrity and trust to the grant distribution. Accessible grant amounts. The grants span from $1,000 to $10,000, with the average grant being about $4,000. This allows flexible support across diverse projects. If you are thinking of applying for a high dollar grant, like $10,000 or above, we do recommend that you come and maybe speak to us first and just run that by us, kind of talk that through with us. And one of the newer things that we just started last year, we do have two grant options now. We have the traditional program and project grant, and then we also have the impact grant. So the program and project grant is focused funding. It's the traditional application process, and it's designed for specific project or program in mind with defined goals and outcomes. It's ideal for short-term initiatives and targeted needs. And the impact grant is flexible funding, offers broad mission-based funding, and there's fewer restrictions. Grantees have the freedom to respond to evolving community needs, and the follow-up reporting emphasizes mission alignment rather than strict metrics. So we have the two different options here, gives organizations the ability to apply in a way that best matches their current strategy. Sorry, the slide's not changing. Bear with me. There we go. The impact grant does have some eligibility requirements that come with it. You need to have received a grant from Three Rivers Community Foundation in the last 3 years, so 2024, 2023, or 2022, and have a strong track record of timely reporting and follow-up. Ideally, ideally applicants will operate on a diverse mix of funding. They're nimble and able to adapt to evolving community needs and opportunities. They can clearly articulate how flexible funding will further their mission and demonstrate strong responsibility and strategic thinking. So with the impact grant eligibility restrictions in mind, I do have a chart here that kind of will walk you through which application best fits your organization's needs. So on the left, we have the program and project grant, and this is a traditional grant meant for specific programs or initiatives. And it requires a detailed proposal, clear goals, and outcome tracking. And it's ideal if you're launching a new project or expanding an existing one. Excuse me. And then we have the impact grant, which does have those specific requirements to apply. And this offers more flexible support aligned with your organization's broader mission. And there's room to adapt how you're using the funding, this is especially helpful in a changing environment. Once again, eligibility is an important distinction. Impact grants are only available to organizations who have received a 3RCF grant in the past 3 years. So it is not open to everyone. That's a very important. Make sure that if you're applying for that, you meet the qualifications. And then we have some characteristics of a successful application. First, maintain a high level of clarity and depth from start to finish. Clearly outline what you want to do, why it matters, and how you're going to do it. Include timelines, goals, and anticipated outcomes. Collaboration and support, list community partners and other sources of funding. List partners that are engaged and partners that are contributing. Share other funding sources that show broad support and sustainability. Describe how you connect with the community and ensure your services are easy to access. Explain how your services are easy to access for the people that you serve, and describe your approach to community engagement and outreach. Avoid jargon and acronyms. So speak clearly and avoid technical jargon. Use plain language so the reviewers immediately understand what you're saying, or put in the beginning, like Three Rivers Community Foundation, parentheses 3RCF, and then you can use that throughout, but make sure people know what you're saying. Explain how the community reaches your organization. So describe how community members typically connect with your organization. Is it walk-ins, referrals, social media, etc., things like that. And show that your organization is visible and approachable. And provide clear financials with a justified budget. Provide a realistic, well-justified budget and ensure your budget aligns with your project goals and timeline. And we do have a few slides, I guess, not part of this, a few things that we can share and go over with you at the end of this presentation. Just some sample documents about what clear financials look like. And I kind of sped through that pretty quickly. So we're here for questions. And we would love to share that financial information too, since we have time.
Yeah, I can hop in and do that. Let's see if I'll do that. And then while we're going over the financial documents, if you have questions, please start popping those in the Q&A. I see that starting to happen. Awesome. So you will find these samples within our grant application process online. We added this last year, so these are every nonprofit is going to have different styles and visuals of their financial reports. So this is a very general starting point. Don't think you have to have every item listed that we have here, because some of them may not apply to your organization. This is just meant to give you a glimpse and some guidance as to what good financials look like, so that you know. So one of the things the applications ask for is a balance sheet. Balance sheet is a snapshot in time of your organization's assets and liabilities. I'm not an accountant. I play one on TV. So your accountant will know better what you need to represent on here. But generally, a balance sheet will include your assets, your short and long-term liabilities, and your net assets, which then total out at the bottom. So these are the type of things that we would expect to see on a balance sheet for a nonprofit organization. When we ask for your organization budget, which is different from your program or project budget, this is your annual operating budget for your organization, and we would just like to see it as a high level. Oftentimes, there may be multiple subcategories of donations or multiple subcategories of grants on your budget. Again, very individual and specific to your organization, but generally, you can just give us the highest level of that. So your different sources of revenue, these are some examples of the type of revenue your organization may have that would then total up to your total revenue. Your operating expenses, again, you can keep it pretty high level. This is very, very high level. There may be a few more categories of expenses, marketing expenses, occupancy, different things like that. So this is the 1 year operating budget plan for your nonprofit. That's what we're expecting to see here. And then the other sample that we share is specific to the program project application, and that is a budget for the specific project that you're asking for funds for. So what is the total cost of the program or the project that you're looking to run? How do you break that out? And this should be the total cost for the program. You may be asking in the grant request for 3RCF to be one of the ways that this gets funded. So this may be a higher cost than what you're asking us for, but it helps us understand it helps us know that you understand the full scope of what you're looking to do, and that you have a plan to put all the funds together to be able to execute that program. So that's what we're looking for there. Again, these are available once you're inside the application, so that you can download them, you can share them with your treasurer or your CPA. Clear financials is an important part of the grant application. We're kind of trying to get a good quick glimpse of your organization, your activities, and your sustainability and financial health. And these are the things that are going to help us do that to be able to make a funding decision. I'm going to stop share and go back to that. Okay, cool. I'm going to hop over to the Q&A. I'll divvy these out between you and I, Kelsey. So the first one I'll throw to you. I think the question might be, Jonathan, say more if I'm not landing on it, but kind of where and how is the grant application assessed? Can you talk through 3RCF's internal review process? Got it, cool.
Um, where's the grant application? Okay. Um,
How does the review process happen inside 3RCF?
oh, I'm sorry. I read that as like, how do you get to it? And I was going to say the website. Okay. Um,
Oh, we can do that too.
yeah, so I'll just touch on that really quick. So all of the above. Okay. So yeah, the grant application is accessed through our website under the nonprofit tab. The current applications are not up yet. They are still last year's applications. So the new ones will be posted by August 1st. The process is you'll fill out your grant application and submit it to us, and the board reviews every application. And then from there, we have some criteria that decides whether or not we're going to bring the applicant in for an in-person interview. Um, if whether you're selected for an interview or not, that's not a bad thing or a good thing, or it's just there's certain criteria we go through to decide who gets an interview. So those interviews are held in October, at those dates I gave you, and you'll come in for a quick 10-minute interview, and the board will be here, and they will ask you questions and just kind of like a quick interview process about your application. And then decisions are made, people are notified. Does that kind of answer your question?
Kelsey, do you want to maybe can you bring up our website and show them how to navigate to the grant application, even though it's not live yet?
Yeah, maybe. Hold on.
We'll see if the computer allows.
Can everyone see that still?
I think so.
Okay. So on our website, just from our main page here, there's a nonprofit tab, and you'll get a drop down. You'll click on annual grant cycle. There will be PDFs here. These are old, these are from last year. They will be replaced with this year, so you can just kind of view the questions before you go in if you'd like. So like I said, these are not current, but they will be replaced shortly with the current application. And then to actually reach the application, you'll want to go to the 3RCF grant portal. It's going to take you to a new page. And once again, these are not the current. You'll click on the 2025 and go in from there and apply for you'll choose your grant, the program or impact, and then you'll go through the application. But you can view those questions before you apply. There'll be samples of the impact and the program that'll look just like this.
And one of the things I always say is, you all are busy. You have, some of you are volunteers, some of you have other jobs. If you're having trouble like with the technical aspect of like logging in, or you've had people change over, anything with that, if you're struggling with the website, just pick up the phone and call us. We would much rather help you in 5 to 10 minutes than have you struggle for a long time just accessing things. So we are real people, and we will do our best to answer the phone. Jonathan, I hope that answered your questions. Eddie was asking about the difference between the two applications. If the organization we are with received funds from the project application last year, can we apply for the more flexible spending application and the project grant? Kelsey?
So it's one or the other. You cannot apply for both. Basically, once you're eligible for that impact grant, now you just have a choice whether you want to apply for the impact or the program, but still it's just one grant, one application. So you'll need to decide which one best fits your organization. And that's kind of where that chart comes in that I gave you. And we will also post that, and it'll be available again so you can go through it. So that's just something you'll want to decide with your organization, which one is best going to meet like what you're doing with the money and which one you're going to apply for, but
And there is
one
no
only.
preference, there's no advantage between one or the other. If one year the impact grant, you know you're going to have a really turbulent year or like you're changing some things, then the impact grant might be the right avenue one year. The next year you may know exactly that you need to order t-shirts and pens and pencils or books or something. It just really make sure the more applicable it is to what you're doing, that's going to make it a good grant request. We don't favor one or the other within the process. We're just trying to better respond to what we think is happening out there for our nonprofits. But yes, you can only apply for one or the other. We have limited funds. We never have enough funds for the total grants that requests that come in. Typically, we're able to fund about 50% of the dollars that we're asked for in any typical grant cycle. So it is unfortunately competitive. If you've paid attention to our Facebook page and our emails, we've launched a Meet the Moment fundraising campaign to try and bring in additional dollars for this year's grant cycle. So we are really hoping and trying to meet the needs as best we can, but it's always going to be a challenge.
And just to add on to that, if you ask for X amount and it is possible we could still fund you, just not the full amount. So we do partial grants as well. So don't be afraid
Good
that,
point.
you won't you're asking for too much, or we do partially grant.
Kelsey, do you want to answer the timeline from application to review to notifications? Just back to that.
Yeah, so the timeline on that is the application opens on August 1st. It closes on September 15th, so it's open for about 6 weeks. That's when the review process starts. Interviews are the third-ish week in October, and announcements are made at the beginning of November. Grants are actually distributed in December. So the process starts in August and ends in December.
And just briefly on interviews, Kelsey shared obviously with the growth of our application pool, we are not just physically capably able to interview close to 100 applicants every year. Our board just, unfortunately, we can't meet that. So we have a schedule. It's typically the afternoons in that week that we block out. Many of our board members have jobs and commitments, but they do their best to block out that week. So we typically have 50 interview spots, and we have a prioritization list that we work through internally. If you are kind of brand new to 3RCF, if you haven't applied before, chances are we're gonna want to have you come in and interview so we can make sure that we're really getting to know you and helping you make decisions. And then there's a kind of a list of prioritizations that we use to try and fairly give out those spots. As soon as possible after the application's closed and we've made sure we've gone through and figured out which applications meet the baseline eligibility, we will send out a link for folks to schedule their interview spot. You got to kind of hop on that link as quickly as possible to have the most options. It's hard to find a really easy, fair way to do that, but that's our best shot. So that will come out, and then we'll work with you as much as we can to try and make sure that you get to interview if you're invited to. If you're not able to interview, it is a requirement. Once you've been offered an interview, you do need to take that opportunity to move forward in the process. We will work with you as much as we can to make sure that it happens schedule wise. Hasn't ever been a problem. We haven't had someone not interview due to schedule reasons. Jonathan's asking great questions. The available funding amount this year, as we're still fundraising, it's to be determined. I can't share too much at this point because there's quite a few things happening, but we are hoping to exceed last year's total award amount, which, as we shared, was $333,000. So we are trying to meet and exceed that dollar amount. How far above that goes remains to be seen. Michelle is asking about the timeline for using the grant once it has been awarded. Kelsey, can you take that one?
Yeah, so it's a year, and at the end of so our 2024 grant recipients still haven't done follow-ups yet. So it's 1 year after. So after even, sorry, I'm saying this in a roundabout way. It's a year. You have a year, a little over a year, and you will,
December
yeah,
31st of the following year is when
you
grant
will
follow-up
get,
reports are due.
and you'll get a reminder. You'll get a reminder email saying that your follow-up is due, and it's like a guided questions that we ask and you answer and then submit to us. Does that answer your question?
Great, thank you, Michelle. I had written down a few things as we were going through, of things that I thought might be helpful to share. I just wanted to clarify on the program/project grant. It does not necessarily have to be a new program or project. If it's continuing a program, sustaining it, you don't have to, we know it's not always a healthy thing for nonprofits to just be generating new programs and activities. So it does not have to be a brand new program. Um, and in regards to kind of sharing who your partners and other nonprofits and entities that you work with, be as broad as possible. It does not just have to be nonprofits who you would be working with in terms of the specific grant that you're applying for. It really helps to get a picture of broadly of the nonprofits that maybe you partner with or work on projects with, or maybe your clients participate in programs at a certain other nonprofit. Also kind of government and city partnerships. It just helps us really understand who you are and how you're connected in the community, just to kind of overall build that understanding. So I wanted to share those two pieces. And Jonathan is asking, are grant funds given in full at the time of awarding? Kelsey?
Yeah, I think you're asking like, do we dole it out throughout the year? No. So you do get the amount that we are granting you. You get a check for that full amount in December.
And why don't we take that opportunity to just talk a little bit about the celebration of philanthropy for those who didn't join us the last 2 years.
Yeah, so last year was my first celebration of philanthropy, so I can speak to it. It was at the convention center. We had 500 people there. It was amazing, and it's just a time for all of the community and the awardees to come together and celebrate their grants. So we give out the checks there at the celebration of philanthropy, and just everyone comes to celebrate. It's hopefully going to be bigger and better this year. So everyone's there. Lots of people are there, not just people who are receiving grants, but other nonprofits and community members. And so it's a really nice time to just see a lot of people and connect. And yeah, I would encourage you to come.
And many of our donors and our board members and lots of other community supporters are there. One of the things we've done, I think the last 2 years is, as grantees, you have the opportunity to bring some of your material. And we have, I think we call it a community connections table, where you can bring, if you have your brochure, your flyer, your business cards, there may be people in the room who learn about you or see your name in the program and want to know more about you, and we would love to help make those connections happen. So we will share how to get us those materials for this year's event. We hope to make that a really helpful piece for the nonprofits there. We're here to be a connector. So tickets are $40. It's a luncheon. We think it's the best vibe in town. Not really a fundraising event. It's really about celebrating your work, the grant awards, and the donors who make it possible. So be there or be square.
Tickets are on sale through the website.
But again, successful grant awardees, once we complete that process in early November, will be notified that they receive 2 complimentary tickets to come to the luncheon. You would then let us know who is attending, and that is so that you have representatives there to come receive your check. We run around with the big grant, check, cardboard thing, take photos. So we always want to make sure that you're there and able to attend.
You'll want more than 2 tickets.
You'll want more than 2 tickets. It's really fun. You'll see you won't believe who you'll see there. It's very
Yeah,
cool.
it's like the circus.
Or like a Taylor Swift concert last year. And for side note, but after last year's event, as I was like seeing people in town, I would be like, "Oh, were you at our event in December?" And they would kind of, people go to so many events, and I said, "The one with the friendship bracelets." So if you're not sure if you were there, our event was the one with the friendship bracelets, and maybe that will
So fun.
ring a bell. Is 3RCF part of the Mingle Community monthly events? How do we get tickets and how much? Jonathan, tell us more about the Mingle Community, because we are holding monthly events here in our office that we call Mission Mingle, but I'm not sure if that's what you're talking about. And tickets to the celebration of philanthropy, if that's what you're asking about, are $40 per person, and they are currently available on our website. So tell us more about the first question if I didn't answer it. But we have just a once a month open to nonprofits, come meet with whoever else is here and network and share type of gathering on the what Wednesday, Kelsey?
The last Wednesday of each month, and they're actually wrapping up for the year. The last one will be in August, but you've still got 2 left if that's something you're interested in coming to. Yes, Mission
Yep,
Mingle.
yep.
So we started that in January. That's a new event to 3RCF, and it's an kind of an open house, relaxed, no agenda, nonprofits come and we sit around the table and kind of just talk about where the conversation leads us. And it's free. There is no cost. It's the last Wednesday of each month from 3 to 4. Um, and your board has sent a representative for a few of them. Yeah, so there's different people here every time. We are wrapping up for the year, so we have one in July, the last Wednesday of July from 3 to 4, and we'll actually be kind of focusing on the grant cycle and questions and kind of like this, except in person, and that'll be here from 3 to 4. I don't know the exact date, but it's the
I think
last
it's
Wednesday in
July
July.
30th. If we haven't, it's still, I don't think we changed it. So
Yeah, and
July
then we'll
30th.
have one last one in August, which is kind of just like gonna be our summer social kind of thing, and just to wrap up and network a little bit. And that'll be the last Wednesday in August, and then we'll be done with Mission Mingle for the year.
Um, Eddie has a question about an example of an impact grant that was successfully awarded. So I'm trying to think of a good example that's um, shareable. I'm thinking,
We haven't received follow-ups from our 2024 grant cycle yet, and that was the first year that we offered the impact grant. So I'm not sure we can successfully answer that question at this time. We can maybe give you some
good point.
examples of some impact requests, but if they were successful or not yet, we are not sure.
Successfully awarded, yeah.
Yeah, they were successfully
Um,
awarded.
yeah, the Princess Theater popped up. Thank you, Shara. If I recall correctly, we do review a lot of grants. Um, uh, the Princess Theater does a lot of programming. They're doing large productions. They're doing smaller activities in their green room. They were doing some new things in a partnership with schools. So they kind of shared a large overview of the things that the Princess Theater was doing, some things that were going on with the building as well. And so they were applying for grants and doing fundraising, not just from us, but from many entities. And so our funding was going to be able to be more flexible to slide into kind of one of those many things that they're doing. And we'll kind of fully get to see that and know about that when they fill out their follow-up report. And truly, Eddie, like this is a new. Last year was the first year that we did it. We're continuing it again this year. This was a new effort. We made it up. We not made it up, but looking and learning about what was happening in grant making, and thought that this might be helpful and would be more of a trust-based type grant, which is definitely a trend in grant making. And so we're learning as we go as well. So, but again, I would say if you know exactly what you want to do, don't hesitate. Just do the program project. It's not gonna. The other thing I'll say is if we award you a grant and circumstances change, talk to us. Like, if we would like to understand what the circumstances are, and we can always bring changes in circumstances to our board, and consider that. And you know, we're always much more interested in supporting you than not. We're not in the business of taking grants back. So that's what I would say. If you're waffling, you know, make a decision, go with it, but then know that you can always come back and talk to us. Also, for anyone on the call who has like really specific questions about what you're up to, call Kelsey, email Kelsey, KELSI at 3rcf.org. So nice. I get to send everybody to you. We'll happily answer your questions as best we can. It's kind of helpful that Kelsey and I don't make grant decisions, our board does. So we can give you some context, we can give you, you know, we definitely know what doesn't work. So we are happy to talk it through and see what we can share that might be helpful to help your application just be as full-rounded as it can be. That's our goal. We can't help anybody above anybody else, but just to make sure you've got the best information and chance that our board would want to see. And just shout out to our board. They spend, if you total all up, I mean, it's several hundred hours on grant making, reading all of the applications, sitting through interviews, and then coming together to make grant decisions. So Shara shared an example of how they used the impact grant. It was student scholarships for their Spotlight Academy productions. And that, it sounds like, included their performance of Newsies in March, Finding Nemo, and Once on This Island in June. So that award helped get some students into those programs, which sounds very cool. My son was in Newsies with a different theater group a year or two ago, and it's great production, so love to see that. Yeah, and shout out to Kelsey for putting this together. Thank you. Yay!
Yes. Is there any more questions anyone has? It doesn't show bubbles like if someone's typing, so it's like
Yeah, right. They just
it doesn't show. Okay, well,
yeah, I think I mentioned all the things that I took notes on. We'll definitely talk about this stuff more at Mission Mingle this month. Yeah, sorry, Kelsey, you go ahead and wrap it up.
Yeah, if there's no more questions, or if you have anything that's kind of just specific to your organization, feel free to reach out, call, email, follow us on Facebook for updates. And we will be having the Mission Mingle at the end of this month. And it'll be kind of like this again, focused on the grant cycle. So if more questions come up, feel free to join us for that, or just join us anyways. And this recording will be available shortly. We'll post it on the website. Right here's last year's. I don't know if you can see my screen still. So here's last year's, and it'll be replaced there. And we'll post it on Facebook. And that's it. Thanks for coming, guys.